presidential debate. Introducing him, Ed Gillespie, former Republican National Committee chair.
Please join me in welcoming here to Harrisonburg the next Vice President of the United States of America, Governor Mike Pence. Hello, Virginia. It is wonderful to be here. Thank you to Ed Gillespie. Thank you for that wonderful, warm welcome. I'm Mike Pence. Just a few short months ago, I accepted my party's nomination to run and serve as the next Vice President of the United States of America. And I have to tell you, Ed, I appreciate that introduction more than I can tell you. But he knows me well enough to know the introduction I prefer is a little bit shorter. I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. And I got to tell you, I joined this campaign in a heartbeat because you have nominated a man for president who never quits, who never backs down. He is a fighter. He is a winner. Until very recently, it seemed like he was out there fighting all on his own. But now this movement is coming together. This state is coming together. And we're going to elect Donald Trump as the next president of the United States of America. But it's great to be in Virginia. We had a little debate last night. It was at Longwood University, and I was humbled and honored to be there. Donald Trump called me late last night from Nevada to congratulate me on the debate. That really meant the world to me. It truly did. Some people think I won. But I'll leave that to others. You know, what I can tell you is from where I sat, Donald Trump won the debate. Donald Trump's vision to make America great again won the debate. And when we take that vision to every corner of Virginia and every corner of this great nation, this movement, that man, and that vision are going to win all the way to the White House. You know, I truly do believe Donald Trump embodies the American spirit. Strong, freedom-loving, independent, optimistic, and willing to fight every day for what he believes in, and he's going to make America great again. I promise you that. You know, people ask me sometimes, say, what is it about Donald Trump? And I say, you know, I'm from south of Highway 40 in Indiana. We speak pretty plainly down that way. We got a Hoosier in the crowd. Good to see you. And I tell people, I say, what is it about that? I said, Donald Trump just gets it. You with me? I mean, he's a genuine article. He's a doer in a game usually reserved for talkers. And when Donald Trump does his talking, he doesn't go tiptoeing around all those thousands of rules of political correctness that the media puts in the way of men and women that want to make a difference. He speaks from his mind. He speaks from his heart. The American people hear him loud and clear, and they're going to send that man and that message all the way to the Oval Office. The funny thing is, you know, the party in power seems seems helpless to figure out our nominee. And of course, I'm talking about the media. Right? I mean, you ever notice that? I mean, seriously, they all keep telling each other the usual methods are going to work, right? Now we got him. All right, now we found this thing he said. Now we found this thing he tweeted. They think they finally done him in. Then you turn on the television the next morning, and Donald Trump is still standing stronger than ever before and fighting for the American people. It really is fun to watch. You know, the thing about Donald Trump is he's never forgotten. He's never forgotten the men and women who built this nation. People who work with their hands, who grow our food, who build our roads and bridges, who tend to our sick and teach our kids. And Donald Trump, I promise you, will never forget the men and women who serve on the thin blue line of law enforcement all across this state and nation. And they know it. It's probably why the largest police officers union in America, 330,000 strong, the Fraternal Order of Police, endorsed Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States. You know, there's a lot of law enforcement with us today, and I'm honored to be with each and every one of them. It's been a challenging time for law enforcement in this country. Would you mind just taking a minute and showing these men and women in law enforcement just how much we appreciate the job that they do each and every day? I promise you, as Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States, President Donald Trump will stand with the men and women who serve in law enforcement. We will provide them with the resources and the tools that they need to restore law and order to every city and every town in this nation, protect our families, and go home safe to theirs. You know, it really is remarkable when you think about the choice in this election. At the very moment when America is crying out for something new and different, the other party has answered with a stale agenda in the most predictable of names. I mean, it really is pretty amazing. At a time when people in both political parties are restless for change. We know we can have government as good as our people again. The other party has nominated someone who literally personifies the failed establishment in Washington, D.C. So, Virginia, can I just ask you to decide here and now, the first stop on my bus tour, that we shall resolve over the next 33 days to not rest, to not relent until we ensure that Hillary Clinton will never be elected President of the United States of America. You know, the truth is, the truth of the matter is that this campaign's been amazing to be a part of. I mean, it's like 2-on-1 out there every day with the media doing half of Hillary Clinton's work for her. You ever notice that? Really, sometimes I get up in the morning, I got to turn on the television with a stick. Just never know what's going to be there. But the amazing thing is, even though the media is out there doing half her work for her, it's 2-on-1. Donald Trump is still winning hearts and minds every day, and he's going to win all the way to the White House. You know, the media is so busy parsing every word Donald Trump said or tweeted in the last 30 minutes that it seems like they haven't had time to talk about what the Clintons have been up to for the last 30 years. So let me see if I can help. I mean, the truth is this campaign's about very serious things. I mean, you heard that last night. It was really incredible. Your Senator Tim Kaine sat across that table from me, and after an avalanche of insults, he said that he referred to us as running an insult-driven campaign. I mean, Hillary Clinton called half of the people that believe we can make America great again a basket of deplorables. But despite their avalanche of insults, this election really is about issues that matter to the people of Virginia and the people of this country. It's about security. It's about prosperity. It's about the Supreme Court of the United States, and it's about preserving the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land. And on every single one of those issues, Donald Trump is the right choice for the United States of America in 2016. On security, we talked about it a lot last night. 7.5 years of the leadership of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton on the world stage has weakened America's place in the world and emboldened our enemies. Despite traveling literally millions of miles as our Secretary of State, the world is more dangerous today than the day that Hillary Clinton took over the foreign policy of this country. Our allies are less secure. Our enemies are more emboldened. And it's important to note that it was Hillary Clinton who failed to negotiate a status of forces agreement in Iraq that resulted in all U.S. military forces pulling out of those hard-fought gains that had been won by the American soldier by 2009. It created a vacuum in which ISIS was literally able to be conjured up out of the desert to overrun vast areas that had been won at great sacrifice by the American soldier. You know, I see today a few people wearing caps that acknowledge their service to this country. Would you mind either standing or sliding your hand in the air? If you wore the uniform of the United States of America, would you let us say thanks one more time? Thank you for your service. It was Hillary Clinton who initiated that disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iran. $150 billion. And as I said last night, for years we imposed punishing sanctions on Iran and said that they would never go away until Iran completely abandoned its nuclear ambitions. And what we did was deliver $150 billion. And all we got was a delay of game. Because when the period of the agreement runs out, there's no restrictions at all on Iran development. The leading state sponsor of terror, able to develop a nuclear weapon. And the worst of it was that on the day that Iran released 4 American hostages, this administration, with the full support of Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine, delivered $400 million in cash on a wooden pallet in a ransom payment to a terrorist sponsoring state. You know, it really is extraordinary. Now, the White House said it wasn't a ransom, but, you know, the Iranians said it was. And I'll make you a promise. When Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, we're not going to be paying ransom to terrorists or terror-sponsoring states. They're going to pay a price. They'll pay a price if they threaten or detain the people of this country. And lastly, you know, it was Hillary Clinton and her State Department who left Americans in harm's way in Benghazi at a State Department facility. Then she told the parents of the fallen, when their hallowed remains arrived at Dover Air Force Base, she told them it was because of a filmmaker in Florida. When she knew full well she'd sent an email to her own daughter on the very night of the attack that it was an al-Qaeda-style terrorist attack. When she was questioned on that, she actually said, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, let me tell you, as a proud father of a United States Marine, let me say this. Anyone who said that, anyone who did that, should be disqualified from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. We cannot have 4 more years. We cannot have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies and abandoning our friends. For the world to be safe, America needs to be strong, and Donald Trump will lead on the world stage with American strength. We will rebuild our military. We will restore the arsenal of democracy. We will provide our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine with the resources that they need to accomplish the mission, and they will hunt down and destroy ISIS and any terrorist organization that threatens our people. That's probably why 160 retired admirals and generals, including 17 Medal of Honor winners, have endorsed Donald Trump to be the next Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States. So this election is about security and real choices, but it's also about prosperity. Now, we heard again tonight, didn't we, or last night, we heard that things have gotten better in the economy in this country. It's incredible. We're in the midst of the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression. Millions of more people are living in poverty today than the day that Barack Obama became president of the United States. But Hillary Clinton's plan is more of the same. More taxes, more regulation, more Obamacare, more of the war on coal that is stifling the American economy. It really is astonishing. I mean, there's a lot of talk about taxes last night. My counterpart sounded like a broken record over there. And I said to him, all you need to know about taxes in this election is simple. Hillary Clinton's going to raise your taxes, and Donald Trump and I are going to cut taxes across the board for working families, small businesses, and family farms. We're going to end death taxes once and for all. We're going to lower business taxes in America so businesses in Virginia can grow and keep jobs here in the United States and not see them going overseas. I mean, Donald Trump has a plan to get this economy moving again. And it's the time-honored principles that have always worked. It worked back in the 1980s when Ronald Reagan did it. It worked, frankly, in the 1960s when President John F. Kennedy did it. And that is, you let people keep more of what they earn. You roll back regulation and red tape. On day one of the Trump administration, we're going to sign a moratorium on any new federal regulation. We're going to repeal every single Obama executive order that's stifling growth and jobs in this economy. I mean, Donald Trump and we're going to work with members of Congress like my great friend Jeb Hensarling from Texas, who's with me today and did such a great job on television last night. Could you give it up for Congressman Jeb Hensarling? He is an outstanding conservative. But Donald Trump and I know that Congress actually convenes before the new president is inaugurated. And so, Jeb, if you all don't mind, if you and Paul Ryan could get to work, put a bill on this new president's desk, and we're going to repeal Obamacare lock, stock, and barrel on day one. Day one. And Donald Trump and I also know that the strength of this nation can be found in the vast natural resources of this nation to get this economy moving again. We're going to end the war on coal once and for all. We're going to develop an all-of-the-above energy strategy, call forth the power of this nation, and lower the cost of energy. And lastly, when Donald Trump becomes negotiator-in-chief. You with me on that? Okay. All right. We're talking trade now. I mean, negotiator-in-chief isn't in the Constitution yet. But when Donald Trump becomes negotiator-in-chief, I promise you, we're going to have a president who renegotiates NAFTA so it works for the American worker. We're going to get out of TPP, and we're going to hold our trading partners accountable for the promises that they make to the American people. When it comes to trade, we're going to put the American worker first. Donald Trump will see to it. You know, the truth is, they tell us this economy is the best that we can do. But Donald Trump and I know different. It's not the best that we can do. It's just the best they can do. And when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, we're going to put those common sense conservative principles into practice, and we're going to get the economy of Virginia and the economy of the United States of America back on the move. And lastly, before I get to a close, and I got to thank you for coming out today. This is such a blessing. I mean, I know I'm not the main event, you know. I'm the other picture on the bus. So give yourselves a round of applause for coming out for this movement today, will you please? It's very humbling to me. But I hope you leave here today, and I hope you tell somebody. You know, folks, this is really about our country. And so we need you to leave here today, not just having heard a speech on a platform with hay bales and a great Virginia setting. I hope you leave here today and you go find neighbors and friends and you say, I saw Mike. He looked a little tired. But he reminded me, this is, despite all of the distractions that come up in this campaign, it's about big issues. It's about security, about a stronger America standing tall on the world stage again, right? It's about a more prosperous America that gets this economy moving again for all of our people. But I also want you to tell them that while we're electing a president for the next 4 years, that president's probably going to set the course and direction of the Supreme Court of the United States for the next 40 years. And we better think long and hard about that. Okay? We really do. I don't think I need to tell the people of Virginia about the Constitution. I don't think I need to talk to people about James Madison. I think I need to tell you about the miracle of that document and the God-given liberties that are enshrined there. I got to tell you, whether it's our freedom of speech, our freedom of expression, our freedom of the press, our freedom of religion, whether it be the right to keep and bear arms of law-abiding citizens, whether it be all the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution, let me just say this. We have to decide here in the home of James Madison, in the great Commonwealth of Virginia, we have to decide here and now, for the sake of our Constitution, for the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of all of our God-given liberties, that the next president of the United States to make appointment to the Supreme Court will be President Donald Trump. Donald Trump will appoint justices to the Supreme Court who will uphold our Constitution in the tradition of the late and great Justice Antonin Scalia. They will interpret the Constitution and uphold our laws. They will not legislate from the bench. They will be strict constructionists, and the American people will be proud. So it's about security, it's about prosperity, and it's about our Supreme Court, but it's also about having the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land. Truthfully, you look at the avalanche of controversies coming out of the Clinton years, and it's almost hard to keep up. We talked about it last night. We talked about the fact when Hillary Clinton was serving as the third-ranking constitutional officer in our government, the Secretary of State of the United States, she had a private foundation that accepted contributions from foreign donors and foreign governments. And then she had a private server, presumably so communications about what she was doing there would not be susceptible to public disclosure and public accountability. We'll never know because we're still waiting on those 33,000 emails that she hasn't revealed. And when you're talking about that server, I actually said this last night. She had a private server where she had classified information, including emails about drone strikes, military operations, even emails from the President of the United States. Classified information that was put on a private, unsecured server that could be susceptible and vulnerable to hacking and exposure to the enemies of this country. And I got to tell you, as I told Senator Kaine last night, if either of our sons in the military handled classified information the same way Secretary Clinton did, they'd be court-martialed. That's the hard truth of all this. And the American people are tired of it. The whole point is that they've said now that they won't accept contributions from foreign governments and foreign donors if she becomes president of the United States because it'd be a conflict of interest. Well, if it'd be a conflict of interest when you were president of the United States, how is it not a conflict of interest when you were Secretary of State of the United States of America? The truth of the matter is you're looking at pay-to-play politics, and it's exactly the kind of pay-to-play politics that's going to end the day that Donald Trump becomes president of the United States. I'll make you a promise. The day Donald Trump walks into the Oval Office, the days of the rigged system for the favored few are going to come to a crashing end. When he becomes president of the United States, his only special interest will be you, the American people. And he's going to fight for you and for the people of this nation each and every day as our great president. So security and prosperity and the Supreme Court and high standards of integrity. That's what this election is about. I mean, I don't know what issue that'll be fluttering on the news tonight. I don't have any idea. It'll be something. But when you leave here, I hope you go tell somebody. I ran into Mike, and he said, this is what this is about. I expect it's why you're here. It's why the enormous throngs of everyday Americans coming out all across the country for Donald Trump are coming out. He's always the first one to say to me when we campaign together, we'll look out of the car window and he'll say to me, you know, this isn't about me and it's not about us. He said, this is a movement of the American people. And we'll make America great again. But now when you go, I want you to do two things. I want you to tell people about the choice, all right? We tried to do that last night, right? Little point, counterpoint, right? But I also hope you'll tell people that in Donald Trump and yours truly, you've got a couple people that will always believe that there will always be more in this country that unites the people of the United States than will ever divide us. And it has a lot to do with faith. First, it's faith in this thing we call the American dream. It really is. I believe in it. Donald Trump believes in it because, to be quite honest with you, we've lived it. I mean, if you think about it, his grandfather immigrated to this country. My grandfather immigrated to this country from Ireland. His dad was a self-made man who built a business with his own hands in Queens. And my dad followed work down to a small town in southern Indiana, built a small gas station business with my mom, and he's a self-made man. Donald Trump and I were both raised to believe that to whom much is given, much will be required. And so for him, that meant the kid from Queens went to Manhattan Island and started to build the big buildings, right? Right? And for me, it was a calling into public service. You know, I always tell people, really, if you think about it, I mean, other than a whole bunch of zeros, Donald Trump and I have a whole lot in common. A lot of zeros. And that's a belief in the American dream. Because we've lived it. We've lived it. It's a simple belief in America that's new every time we consider it, that different from much of the history of most of the world, that here in America, regardless of race or creed or color or gender, anybody can be anybody. If you work hard, you study hard, you treat others the way you want to be treated, and you never give up. And I want to promise you, Donald Trump and I are going to work every day to revive the American dream for every family and every American. It's about faith in the American dream. And lastly, it's about that faith. It's about that faith that's always underpinned America. It brought the first settlers to our shores, sustained them through those early harsh days. It represents, and I believe always will represent, the foundation of American greatness that we are now and shall ever be. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the choice could not be more clear. The American people can elect someone who literally personifies a failed establishment in Washington, D.C. or Virginia. We can do different. And that is, we can elect a leader, a truth teller, a broad-shouldered man who will fight every day to make America great again. That's the choice that we face. But we got to lay it out. So I'm going to lay it out for you one more time, and then I'll let you get to lunch. This is another time for choosing. If you want a president who will protect this nation, rebuild our military, restore the arsenal of democracy, support our troops and those who served in uniform, and who will give our war fighters the resources, ability, and the clarity of mission to hunt down and destroy ISIS and any terrorist organization that threatens our people. If you want a president who will restore law and order to every city and every community in this nation by supporting law enforcement with the tools and the resources that they need and deserve. If you want a president who will cut taxes, grow this economy, squeeze every nickel out of that bloated federal bureaucracy, and repeal Obamacare lock, stock, and barrel. If you want a president who will build a wall, enforce the laws of this nation for the people of this nation, and end illegal immigration once and for all. And if you want a president who will upend the status quo in Washington, D.C., I mean, really, he's going to upend the status quo in Washington, D.C., and a president who will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, then I want to tell you, Virginia, we have but one choice. If you want all of those things, and I'm here to tell you, that man is ready. This team is ready. This movement is ready. If you will go make sure that Virginia is ready, we will elect Donald Trump as the 45th President of the United States of America, and we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Let's go get it done.